The deep space was silent. A small human research ship drifted near an abandoned alien station. Inside the ship, a young engineer named Ryan was busy checking scanners. He was curious, always looking for strange signals. One day, his radar found something unusual. A faint energy reading coming from the dark station. It looked old, broken and forgotten, but something inside was still alive. Ryan decided to explore. He put on his spacesuit and entered the alien station. The halls were dusty and filled with strange glowing symbols. It felt like no human had ever walked here before. His heart beat faster as he moved deeper inside. Then, he saw a large chamber with a glass pod. Inside the pod was a girl, but not human. She had silver skin, glowing blue hair, and a warrior-like outfit. Ryan was shocked. She looked both strong and delicate. The pod was still active, lights blinking slowly. He touched the console and suddenly, it lit up. The alien language appeared, symbols shifting fast. Ryan pressed one button by mistake. The pod hissed open with a burst of mist. The girl slowly opened her eyes. She looked confused and weak, her glowing eyes focused on him. Ryan froze, not knowing what to do. The girl spoke in a strange tongue Ryan could not understand. But the pod's translator clicked on. Her voice became clear. "Who are you, human?" Ryan was surprised she knew his kind. He answered softly, "My name is Ryan. I found you here." The alien girl sat up, her face turning red. She looked down at herself and gasped. Ryan noticed something. Strange, the device he touched was glowing again, and suddenly her chest, her coconuts, expanded bigger. Her eyes widened in shock, her face turned bright crimson. She covered herself with both hands, embarrassed. Ryan stepped back, his face burning too. I didn't mean to," he stammered. The alien girl gave him a sharp glare, but then she looked away, still blushing hard. The air grew tense. Ryan tried to explain. "It was an accident. I touched the wrong button," she muttered. "Stupid human. Your clumsy hands." But her voice was soft, almost shy. Ryan could feel the heat of the moment. Yet before they could speak more, the chamber lights turned red. A loud alarm echoed across the station. The girl's expression changed from embarrassed to serious. She jumped up, her body glowing faintly with alien power. "Enemy ships," she whispered. "They found me." Ryan's heart raced. "What enemy? Who are they?" he asked. The girl looked at him, eyes sharp but worried. "They are hunters. They want me captured. And now you are involved too." The station began to shake, metal groaning from outside pressure. Ryan grabbed her hand without thinking. "Then we need to leave. Come with me," he said. She hesitated, still holding her chest with one arm, still blushing, but she nodded, trusting him for now. Together they ran through the dark halls, alarms screaming. Ryan felt his mind spinning. He had just met an alien girl, embarrassed her in the strangest way possible, and now deadly enemies were hunting them both. As they reached the airlock to his ship, Ryan looked back at her. The girl was breathing hard, still glowing, still red in the face. Her beauty and strange power made his chest tighten. This was no normal discovery. This was the start of something dangerous, something bigger than he ever imagined, and deep inside, Ryan knew one thing. His life would never be the same again. Ryan's ship detached from the ruined station. The engines hummed as they slipped into the silence of space. Inside the small cockpit, the alien girl sat in the co-pilot's chair, still holding her arms close to her chest. Her cheeks were still red from what had happened in the pod. Ryan kept his eyes on the controls, pretending not to notice, but his heart was racing. Finally, she broke the silence. "My name is Leora," she said, her voice calm but with a hint of embarrassment. "I am from the Vayari people, once rulers of 3 star systems." Ryan turned his head in surprise. She looked so young, yet she spoke with the weight of history. "Rulers? Then what happened?" he asked carefully. Leora's eyes dimmed, her glow fading. "We were betrayed," she whispered. "Our enemies came with promises of peace, but it was a trap." Her voice grew sharper. "They destroyed our fleets, enslaved our people and hunted those who escaped. Ryan felt a chill. And you, why were you in that pod? He asked. Leora hesitated, her blush returning as she glanced at him. The pod was meant to hide me, keep me safe until allies came, she said. But you woke me instead, and touched the forbidden device. Her face flushed deeper red. As she looked away, Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. I really didn't mean to, I was just trying to help, he said. She sighed, half annoyed, half amused. You humans, reckless and clumsy but somehow lucky. For a moment there was silence again. Ryan noticed the way she looked around his small ship, her eyes curious. Compared to her ancient alien technology, everything here must have seemed simple, yet she touched the metal walls gently, almost warmly. This vessel, it feels alive in its own way, she murmured. Ryan smiled. It's not much, but she's kept me safe for years. Leora tilted her head, watching him closely. You trust your machines as if they were family, she said softly. Maybe. That is why humans survive where others fall. Before Ryan could answer, alarms beeped on his console. He frowned, scanning the readings. Looks like someone picked up our trail, he muttered. Leora's face hardened instantly. They are coming, she said. Hunters. They never stop. Ryan's stomach nodded. He wasn't a soldier, just an engineer, but now he was trapped in something far bigger. He looked at her, determined. Then we'll outsmart them. My ship may be small, but she can run. Leora gave him a quick glance, her lips twitching as if she wanted to smile. Your courage is unusual, she admitted. The ship shook as enemy sensors scanned the area. Ryan pulled the controls, pushing the engines harder. The stars stretched into streaks as they dived between asteroid fields. Leora gripped the seat, watching his hands. Move quickly. You pilot with no fear, she whispered, surprised. Ryan laughed nervously. No, I'm terrified, but that makes me careful. Leora blinked, her blush returning slightly. She had seen warriors with power and strength, but this human fought with wit and stubbornness. It was different and strangely admirable. They managed to lose the hunters for now, hiding behind a frozen comet. Ryan shut down the engines and let the ship drift silently. The cockpit lights dimmed, leaving only the stars outside. Leora looked at him with serious eyes. You must understand, human, she said. Now that you found me, you are part of this war. Ryan swallowed hard but nodded. I didn't ask for it, but I won't abandon you, he said firmly. For a long moment she just stared at him, her cheeks warming again. Finally, she whispered, perhaps fate chose well. But before they could rest, another warning light flashed on Ryan's screen. A coded signal pulsed through space, one that Leora instantly recognized. Her face turned pale, her hands trembling slightly. That signal. It means a cruiser is coming, she whispered. Ryan felt his stomach drop. A cruiser was no small hunter ship. It was a predator built for war. And now, it was heading straight for them. The blackness of space seemed calm, but Ryan's ship trembled as the enemy cruiser locked on. The warning lights flashed red across the cockpit, each one screaming danger. Ryan's hands tightened on the controls, sweat forming on his forehead. Leora's eyes glowed faintly as she stared at the scanner, her voice sharp. They are here and they will not let us go. Ryan swallowed, forcing a grin. Well then, we'll just have to make them chase us, he said. Leora turned to him. In disbelief, her blush faint but her tone fierce. Do you understand what a cruiser is, human? It is bigger than 10 of your ships, armed with weapons that can burn worlds. Ryan smirked nervously, his heart pounding. Yeah, but they don't know humans are good at running when we need to. The cruiser appeared on the edge of their view. Its dark shape blocked out the stars, glowing with deadly lights. Ryan quickly pulled the ship into a roll, diving toward an asteroid field. Leora gripped the seat, her glowing hair floating as the ship shook. You are insane, she gasped. Maybe, Ryan muttered, but sometimes crazy works. The enemy opened fire, beams of light slicing through the void. Rocks exploded around them as Ryan twisted the ship through narrow gaps. The asteroids spun, smashing against each other. Ryan's small vessel darted. Between them like a fish in a storm. Leora stared at him. half terrified, half impressed. "You pilot like you have no fear of death," she whispered. Ryan laughed nervously. "I just really don't like getting caught." One blast scraped their shields, shaking the entire ship. Sparks flew from the panels, the cockpit filled with smoke. Ryan coughed but kept his focus. "Come on, girl. Hold together," he muttered. To the ship, Leora blinked at him, confused. "You speak to your machine?" she asked. "Of course," Ryan said. "She listens, sometimes better than people." Leora's lips twitched as if she wanted to smile, but instead she muttered, "You humans are strange." The cruiser tried to follow, but its size slowed. Down in the narrow field, Ryan took the chance, diving deeper, weaving past spinning rocks. He spotted a cluster of frozen comets ahead, glowing faint blue in the starlight. "If we can hide behind those, maybe they'll lose our trail," Ryan said. Leora leaned forward, her glowing eyes scanning the map. "It is risky, but it might work," she admitted. The ship jolted again as another blast struck nearby. Ryan pulled the controls hard, pushing his ship between two massive comets. Ice cracked and shattered as they skimmed the surface. The cruiser's weapons missed, hitting the frozen giants instead. The explosion of ice and rock filled the field with glittering fragments. Ryan used the chaos to cut engines and drift silently. The ship hid in the comet's shadow, cloaked by the icy debris. For a long, tense moment, neither of them breathed. The scanner beeped faintly, showing the cruiser searching. Then slowly the red marks on the radar began to fade. Leora exhaled, her shoulders relaxing. "They are leaving." "You actually did it," she said softly. Ryan let out a shaky laugh, leaning back in his seat. "Guess humans aren't completely useless after all," he joked. Leora's face heated again, her lips pressing into a line. "You are reckless," she said. "But I cannot deny you saved us." The cockpit grew quiet, only the hum of life support filling the air. Ryan wiped his forehead and turned to her. "So what now? We can't keep running forever." Leora's expression grew serious again. "There are secrets on that station you found me in," she said. "Secrets that only a human could unlock, and those secrets may be the key to fighting back." Ryan blinked, his mind racing. "Wait, are you saying I'm part of this now? This isn't just about you anymore?" Leora nodded slowly, her blush fading into determination. "Yes, Ryan, now it is about both of us, and perhaps about your entire world too." Ryan stared out into the stars, the weight of her words sinking, and he had only wanted adventure, but what he found was a war, and now there was no way to walk away. The small ship floated in silent space. Hidden among drifting ice rocks, Ryan leaned back in his chair, still breathing hard from the escape. His hands were shaking, but his grin was wide. "That was close," he muttered, wiping sweat from his forehead. Beside him, Leora sat with her arms crossed, her glowing hair dim, her cheeks faintly red. "You are reckless," she said coldly, but her voice wavered. "You nearly killed us with your insane flying." Ryan shrugged, forcing a playful smile. "And yet, here we are, still alive," he replied. Leora turned her face away, hiding her blush. The silence stretched until Ryan's stomach growled loudly. He blinked and laughed nervously. "Guess I forgot to eat during all the running," he said. Leora tilted her head, confused. "Eat? You humans must stop in the middle of danger to feed?" she asked. Ryan chuckled, opening a small pack of rations. "Survival means food," he said, offering her one. The alien girl sniffed it suspiciously. "This gray block does not look like food," she muttered. "It's protein bar," Ryan said proudly. "Keeps you strong." She took a small bite, chewed slowly, then froze. Her glowing eyes widened, her face twisting in shock. "This tastes disgusting," she choked, covering her mouth. Ryan laughed so hard he almost dropped his own bar. "Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it keeps me alive," he said. Leora glared, still blushing. "Humans are truly strange creatures," she muttered, but she kept nibbling anyway. Later in the cargo bay, Ryan handed her some human clothes. "Your armor stands out too much," he explained. "Try this." Leora looked at the simple shirt and jacket with suspicion. She slipped them on, but the fabric stretched awkwardly around her chest. Her face burned crimson. This is your fault, she hissed, tugging at the tight shirt. Ryan looked away quickly, his ears turning red. I swear I didn't mean for that accident to happen, he said. She stomped her foot lightly, then sighed. You humans and your strange devices, she muttered, embarrassed. As she adjusted the clothes, Ryan noticed her studying the ship. She touched the walls gently, tracing the panels with glowing fingers. Your vessel is simple, she said. Yet it carries heart. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Heart? It's just old metal and wires, he said. Leora shook her head, her voice soft. No, it is more. It reflects you, human, stubborn but alive. For a moment, Ryan was speechless, her words strangely warming. Then the console beeped, breaking. The quiet, a soft voice filled the ship. Access denied, please confirm DNA signature. Ryan frowned, tapping the screen. Leora's eyes narrowed. That is the AI lock, she whispered. My people sealed this technology long ago. Ryan's fingerprint flashed across the screen, and to their shock, the system unlocked. The AI voice changed. Human pilot detected, access granted, Leora gasped, her face pale. Impossible, she whispered. Only Vayari blood should open it. Ryan looked at her confused. Well, maybe the system likes me, he joked, but she shook her head, her eyes filled with fear and wonder. No, this means something greater, human. It means you were chosen. The ship's AI projected a map into the air. Strange stars and coordinates filled the cockpit. Leora stared at it, her hands trembling. These are secret bases, hidden before our fall, she whispered. Ryan leaned closer, whistling softly. Looks like we just got ourselves a treasure map, he said. Leora's blush returned, but her eyes were sharp now. If this is true, you may hold the key to saving my people, she said. Ryan's grin faded into seriousness. Saving your people, or painting a giant target on my back, he muttered. Before they could think further, the scanner beeped again. Another signal was approaching fast. Not the cruiser, but smaller ships. Leora's voice dropped to a whisper. Bounty hunters, she said, her glow returning as she stood tall. Ryan clenched his fists, staring at the radar. Great, just what we needed, he muttered. The culture clash was over for now. Survival was calling once more. The bounty hunters arrived like wolves in the dark. 3 small ships darted through space, their weapons already warming. Ryan cursed under his breath, pulling the controls. Can we ever get a break? He muttered. Beside him, Leora's eyes glowed brighter, her voice calm but tense. They came for me, they always come for me. The hunters opened fire, beams slicing past the ship. Ryan rolled sharply, the vessel groaning as metal strained. He pulled them into a dive, weaving between floating debris. Leora gripped the console, her expression fierce. They will not stop, they want me alive, but you dead, she warned. Ryan forced a grin despite the fear crawling up his spine. Then we just have to make it hard for them. One bounty ship fired a net of energy, spreading across the void. Ryan twisted hard, just barely slipping past it. The net scraped their shields, sparking against the hull. Inside, alarm screamed, lights flashing red. Ryan growled, Hold together, girl, don't let me down now. Leora gave him a sharp look. You speak to this ship like a lover, she said, cheeks faintly pink. Ryan smirked, despite the chaos. Maybe she's the only girl who puts up with me. Leora blinked, her face warming even more, but she quickly looked away. They dived toward a neutral trade station, a giant wheel of lights and metal. Ryan muttered, If we can dock, maybe they'll back off. Leora shook her head, her tone dark. No, hunters do not fear stations. They own half of them. Ryan cursed again, but there was no other choice. He pushed the ship toward the docking bay, alarm still shrieking. The moment they landed, armed guards approached. Ryan raised his hands, trying to look calm. We're just travelers looking for repairs. He said. The guards exchanged uneasy looks but let them pass. Inside the station, the air was thick with smoke. Neon lights glowing on metal walls. Merchants shouted, machines clattered, and shady figures watched from the shadows. Leora stayed close, her hood pulled low to hide her glowing hair. But even with her disguise, she drew stares. Her tall frame, her silver skin, the faint aura around her. She could not blend in, Ryan whispered. Keep your head down, these people smell trouble. Leora nodded, but her blush remained. Then perhaps you should stop staring at me so openly. She muttered. Ryan choked, looking away quickly, his ears red. They entered a supply shop to trade for fuel. The merchant, a heavy alien with 4 eyes, smiled too quickly. Of course I have what you need, human, he said smoothly. Ryan narrowed his eyes, uneasy. Leora stayed silent, her gaze sharp. But as Ryan handed over credits, the merchant pressed a hidden switch under the table. Suddenly the door slammed shut. Bounty hunters stormed in, weapons raised. Ryan spun around, his heart dropping. You sold us out, he shouted at the merchant. The alien only grinned. Business, human, you cannot blame me. Leora stepped forward, her body glowing with fierce light. You dare betray us? She hissed, her voice echoing with power. The hunters hesitated, nervous at her aura. Ryan grabbed a loose pipe from the wall, holding it like a bat. Guess we fight our way out, he muttered. The room exploded into chaos. Leora moved like lightning, her hands glowing as she struck one hunter down. Ryan swung the pipe, smashing another across the helmet. Not bad for an engineer, Leora shouted over the noise. Not bad for a space princess. Ryan shot back with a grin. Her cheeks flared red even as she knocked another hunter into the wall. The battle was fast and brutal, but the hunters were trained, and more kept arriving. Ryan and Leora fought back to back, struggling to push toward the exit. The merchant cowered behind his counter, laughing nervously. You cannot escape, they will take you alive or dead, he taunted. Finally, Ryan slammed a control panel with the pipe. The doors burst open, and they dashed out into the crowded station. Shouts followed them, hunters chasing close behind. Leora grabbed Ryan's arm, pulling him faster. Her voice was urgent, filled with fear. They will call the cruiser, we cannot stay here another second. Ryan glanced back, breathless, his heart hammering. The station lights blurred as they ran through the chaos. He had trusted the wrong face, and now the hunters were closer than ever. But deep inside, a fire sparked in him. They had tried to betray him. But humans didn't go down easy. The narrow halls of the station echoed with alarms. Ryan and Leora ran side by side, hunters shouting behind them. Blaster shots sizzled through the air, sparks flying from the walls. Ryan pulled Leora into a maintenance shaft, sealing the hatch. Behind them, both of them breathed hard. Pressed close together in the dark, Leora's cheeks glowed faintly red, her silver skin shimmering in the dim light. You are reckless again, she whispered. You fight like a fool. Yet somehow you survive, Ryan smirked through his panting. Hey, fools live longer when they run fast, he replied. Her lips twitched, almost forming a smile, but she quickly looked away. They crawled through the shaft until they reached a quiet storage bay. Ryan locked the hatch and leaned against a crate, still catching his breath. Leora sat across from him, her eyes soft, but her posture tense. You risked yourself for me, she said, her voice calm but heavy. Ryan shrugged, trying to look casual. Well, it's not like I could leave you behind. Her blush deepened, but she shook her head. You humans, you care too much even when it makes no sense. For a moment, the danger outside faded. Ryan pulled out a water flask and handed it to her. She took a sip, her glowing eyes flicking up to his face. Then she hesitated, as if deciding something. Finally, she whispered, You should know the truth about me. Ryan tilted his head, curiosity burning. What truth? He asked. Her voice dropped low, almost trembling. I am not just a soldier of my people, she said. I was born as heir. A princess of the Vayari. Ryan's jaw dropped. A princess? He repeated, nearly choking on his own breath. Leora's blush spread even brighter as she looked away. Yes, and that is why they hunt me, human, if I live. The Vayari have hope. If I die, their chains remain. Ryan stared at her, his mind spinning. So you're not just important, you're the most important, he muttered. Her glowing eyes met his, serious yet vulnerable. And now you are tied to me whether you like it or not, she said softly. Before Ryan could reply, A faint laugh escaped him. I was just a repair engineer last week, he said. Now I'm running around with a space princess. Leora's face heated instantly, her fists clenching. Do not mock me, she snapped, though her voice cracked slightly. Ryan raised his hands in surrender, grinning. I'm not mocking, I just didn't expect this. Her lips pressed tight, but her blush betrayed her embarrassment. Their moment was broken by the sound of boots outside. The hunters were sweeping the bay, searching for them. Ryan's grin faded as he looked around desperately. Not good, we need a distraction, he whispered. Leora nodded, standing tall, her glow brightening. I will hold them, you run, she said firmly. Ryan shook his head instantly. No way, we stick together, I'm not leaving you again. The hatch burst open, hunters flooding in with weapons raised. Ryan swung a metal rod from the crate, charging forward. Leora's hands blazed with alien energy, light flashing across the bay. Together they fought like a storm, human stubbornness and alien power side by side. Ryan cracked helmets and tripped enemies with wild swings. Leora's strike sent glowing waves that knocked hunters sprawling. The room shook with the clash, crates exploding, alarms blaring louder. At last, the last hunter fell, groaning on the floor. Ryan dropped the rod, his chest heaving. He looked at Leora, who stood tall, breathing heavily, her glow fading. Their eyes met, silence thick between them. Then Ryan chuckled weakly. Not bad, princess, he said. Leora's face went crimson, her fists tightening. Stop calling me that, she snapped. But her voice lacked real anger. They dragged themselves back to the ship, slipping away from the station before reinforcements arrived. Inside the cockpit, the stars stretched before them once more. Ryan leaned back in his seat, exhausted but smiling. Leora sat beside him, still glowing faintly, her blush hidden as she looked out into the void. For the first time her voice softened, almost shy. Perhaps fate was not wrong to bring you to me, she whispered. Ryan blinked, stunned, then laughed nervously. Careful, princess. You almost sounded like you like me, he teased. Her face flared red again, and she turned away sharply. Stupid, human, she muttered. But in her heart the bond between them had already begun to grow stronger. The stars outside twisted into a storm of light. Ryan's ship shot out of hyperspace, tumbling slightly from damage. The alarms rang, panels flickered, and smoke curled in the cockpit. Ryan gritted his teeth, slamming the controls. Come on, girl, hold together just a little longer, he muttered. Beside him, Leora held onto the seat, her glowing hair flickering weakly. Her eyes scanned the monitors, her voice sharp. The shields are gone, the hull is cracked, and the oxygen levels are dropping. Ryan forced a crooked smile. Good news then, we're still breathing. Leora turned to him, her cheeks faintly red despite the danger. You laugh even while death is close, she said, almost amazed. Ryan shrugged. Fear never fixed a broken ship, he replied. Suddenly, the radar screamed. A massive shadow appeared behind them. A cruiser, larger and darker than before, its weapons locked on, glowing with deadly light. Leora's face paled. It is the same predator. They followed us. Ryan's stomach twisted, but he pushed the fear down. Then we'll have to outsmart them again, he said firmly. The cruiser's first volley tore through the void. Ryan yanked the controls, dragging the ship into a sharp spin. The beams scorched past, burning asteroids to ash. Leora clutched the seat, gasping. You cannot win this fight, human. They are too strong. Ryan's eyes narrowed, his grin turning sharp. Winning and surviving aren't the same thing, he muttered. Sometimes you don't need to beat the monster, you just need to bite it hard enough to make it mad. He dived into an asteroid field, weaving between massive spinning rocks. The cruiser followed, slower but relentless. The asteroids shattered as blasts struck, sending debris flying. Ryan's ship danced between them, rolling, sliding, twisting. At impossible angles, Leora stared at him in shock. No trained pilot of my people would dare such madness, she whispered. Ryan laughed breathlessly. That's the trick, princess. Humans don't always play by the rules. The cruiser fired a barrage. Rocks exploded around them. One asteroid split in half, the fragments rushing toward Ryan's ship. He pulled the controls hard, scraping past by inches. The hull screeched, metal bending, alarms screaming. Ryan's knuckles turned white, but he refused to let go. Leora's voice rose in panic. "You cannot keep this up. The ship will tear apart," Ryan snapped back. "Better torn apart than caught alive." He spotted a cluster of giant asteroids ahead, locked in slow orbit around each other. A dangerous maze, with gravity fields pulling in every direction. Leora gasped. "You cannot be serious," she whispered. Ryan grinned, despite the sweat dripping down his face. "Dead serious," he muttered, shoving the ship into the deadly field. Inside, the pull of rocks twisted the vessel violently. Ryan fought the controls, his arms straining. The cruiser hesitated at the edge. Unsure of the trap, then it followed, firing wildly. Ryan's eyes blazed with focus. "Come on, big guy, chase me," he whispered. Leora held her breath, staring at him. This human was not just reckless. He was fearless. He dragged the ship low, skimming a massive asteroid's surface. At the last second, he flipped hard, pulling the ship up. The cruiser's volley struck the rock instead. The asteroid cracked apart, exploding in a chain reaction. The blast waves slammed the cruiser, shaking it violently. Leora gasped in awe. "You made them wound themselves," she whispered. Ryan grinned. Sometimes the best weapon is their own stupidity. But the victory was short-lived. Their ship rattled, systems failing, oxygen dropping fast. Ryan leaned back, breathing hard. "All right, maybe that was a little too crazy," he muttered. Leora stared at him, her cheeks flushed, her voice soft. "You are insane, but you saved us again." For the first time, she reached out, her hand brushing his. Ryan froze, his chest tightening, but then he smiled. "Guess humans aren't so useless after all," he whispered. The moment was broken as the warning lights blared again. The cruiser was still alive, turning its guns toward them once more. Leora's glow brightened as she stood, determination in her eyes. "Then it is my turn, human," she said firmly. Ryan looked up at her, surprised but ready. Whatever she planned, it would take both of them to survive what came next. The cruiser's last volley missed by inches. Ryan pushed the ship into a blind jump, forcing the damaged engine to roar. Stars stretched into streaks, then darkness swallowed them. The ship spun, alarms shrieking, panels sparking. Ryan gritted his teeth, slamming buttons to stabilize. Finally, after what felt like forever, the ship dropped out of hyperspace, floating in silent black. No stars nearby, no stations, no planets, only endless empty void. Ryan leaned back, chest heaving. "We're alive," he muttered. But the relief lasted only seconds. Leora studied, the monitors, her face pale. "We are outside the mapped lanes," she whispered. "This is deep void. No one travels here." The ship groaned, oxygen indicators flashing yellow. Ryan frowned, checking the readings. "Life support at 40%, food low, water low, fuel leaking," he said grimly. Leora lowered her head, her glowing hair dim. "We escaped death only to find another kind." For a long moment, silence filled the cockpit. Ryan forced a weak smile. "Well, if I'm going to die, at least I've got company," he joked. Leora blinked, her cheeks warming. "You joke at death?" she asked softly. "Humans always joke at death," Ryan said. "It's how we spit in its face." Leora stared at him, confused but almost impressed. Days blurred together. Ryan rationed their food, handing her the larger share without saying anything. When she noticed, her face softened. "You give me more," she said. "Why?" Ryan shrugged, forcing a grin. "You glow, princess, so you probably burn more energy." Her blush returned, but her eyes glistened slightly. "Stupid human," she whispered, though her voice carried warmth. Nights in the void were darker than anything Ryan had known. The stars too far, the silence too heavy to stay sane. He told her Earth stories, tales of oceans, forests, storms, and laughter. Leora listened quietly, her head tilted, her blush hidden in the dim light. Humans are strange," she said softly. "You are weak in body, but your spirit, it is vast," Ryan chuckled. "Yeah, we make up for weakness with stubbornness," he replied. One day, the power grid flickered out. The lights died, the air recycling cut off. Leora gasped, clutching her chest as the air thinned. Ryan grabbed a toolkit, rushing to the engine bay. "Don't worry, girl, I'll fix this," he muttered. He crawled into the vents, sparks burning his arms. The pipes hissed, steam scorching his skin, but he kept working, refusing to stop. Finally, the hum returned, lights flickering back on. Oxygen flowed again. Leora stumbled to him, eyes wide. "You nearly killed yourself," she said, voice trembling. Ryan grinned weakly, coughing. "Just another day at the office." Her hands glowed faintly as she touched his burns. The light spread, healing the wound slowly. Ryan blinked, stunned. "You can do that?" he asked. She looked away, her cheeks red. "It is not much, but I can share my life force," she whispered. He smiled gently. "Thanks, princess," he said. She flinched at the word but did not pull away. Then the scanner beeped faintly. A strange distortion ahead, a swirling shadow in the void. Leora's eyes widened. That is no star," she whispered. Ryan leaned forward. "It's a wormhole," he muttered. Her face grew tense. "Wormholes are unstable. They lead to anywhere. Or to nothing." Ryan smirked, despite the fear creeping into him. "Well, staying here means slow death. Going through means maybe death." He gripped the controls firmly. "I'll take maybe." Leora grabbed his arm, her blush bright, but her voice fierce. "You are mad, human, but I will follow." Ryan looked at her, his grin softening. "Then let's roll the dice together," he said. The ship drifted toward the swirling abyss. The lights flickered, the hull groaned, the void twisted. Ryan's heart pounded. This was not escape anymore. This was a leap into the unknown. The wormhole spat the ship out with a violent twist. The hull rattled, the cockpit lights flickered, and Ryan almost lost control. He slammed the stabilizers, the vessel groaning like a wounded beast. Finally, the ship steadied, drifting in the glow of a blue-green planet. Ryan blinked at the sight, his heart leaping. "Earth," he whispered. "We made it back." Beside him, Leora stared out the viewport, her glowing eyes wide. So many ships surrounded the planet, hundreds of vessels. Some were bulky cargo haulers, some sleek fighters, some heavy cruisers. They were not elegant like her people's ships, nor advanced like the enemy's. But their numbers filled the void, a swarm of stubborn iron teeth. Leora whispered softly. "So many. Like ants building a hive." Ryan grinned with pride. "Yeah, welcome to humanity's backyard," he said. "Not the prettiest fleet in the galaxy, but it gets the job done." Leora turned to him, her cheeks faintly red. "You humans build so much with so little," she said. "Crude yet unyielding." Ryan smirked. "Unyielding is our middle name." The comm crackled, a stern voice filling the cockpit. "Unidentified vessel. This is Earth Defense Fleet. Power down and transmit codes." Ryan quickly entered his ID, the system, scanning his ship. After a tense pause, the voice returned. "Ryan Carter, you're late to check in and your ship looks like it went through hell." Ryan chuckled weakly. "You don't know the half of it," he muttered. Leora leaned closer, her voice low. "Will they trust me? I am not human." Ryan glanced at her, his smile softening. "Don't worry, princess, humans don't scare easy." As they approached the fleet, massive cruisers shifted position, forming a protective wall. Ryan's chest swelled with pride. "These ships may not be perfect, but together they're strong," he said. Leora tilted her head, watching the coordination with fascination. "Strength in unity," she whispered. "Something my people once had before betrayal." But the moment of awe shattered as alarms blared. Ryan's scanner lit up red, multiple signals pouring through the wormhole. Leora's face paled, her glow flaring bright. "The hunters." "No, worse," she whispered. An entire enemy armada surged into the system, warships dark and sharp, their weapons glowing like fire. The fleet of Earth was outnumbered, but not outhearted. Ryan clenched his fists, his voice sharp. "Looks like they followed us home," he said. "The defense fleet spread out, Fighters launching in swarms. The enemy's first volley streaked across the void, colliding with Earth shields. The shockwave rattled Ryan's ship, making him grip the controls. Leora braced herself, her eyes wide with fear and wonder. So many humans rushing into battle without hesitation, she whispered. Ryan grinned. That's what we do. We fight like hell when home is on the line. The battle exploded, beams cutting through space, missiles flashing, ships twisting and breaking. Ryan's comm filled with frantic voices, orders, cries, and cheers. He dove into the fight, weaving through friendly and enemy fire. Leora gasped as she saw fighters dart into suicide runs, striking larger ships with desperate bravery. Your people, they throw themselves into fire without fear, she said. Ryan's jaw tightened. They're not fearless, they're just stubborn enough to fight anyway. The Earth fleet pressed together, shield overlapping shield, gun covering gun. Every ship seemed to shout the same message. You will not pass. The enemy armada pushed hard, but every time they broke through, another wave of human ships filled the gap. It was not elegance, it was not perfection, it was pure survival, pure fury. Leora's chest tightened as she watched. Her heart raced, not from fear but from something else. Admiration, maybe even hope. Ryan's ship spun through the chaos. Blasting smaller hunters aside, he grinned, adrenaline burning through him. See, Princess? You thought humans were weak, he shouted. But this is our strength. Home advantage. Leora blushed, her glowing eyes locking onto him. You are not weak, she admitted. You are terrifying. The enemy armada began to regroup, their flagship moving forward. Ryan's grin faded, his stomach sinking. He knew this battle was far from over, and if the flagship unleashed its full power, even Earth's swarm might break. But humans were not done yet, and Ryan was not about to let his world fall. The enemy flagship loomed in the dark like a floating fortress, its hull stretched for miles, its cannons glowing with deadly light. Even among the armada it looked monstrous, a predator above predators. Ryan's stomach twisted as he stared at it. That thing could crush half the fleet on its own, he muttered, Leora's glowing eyes narrowed, her voice sharp. It is not just a warship. It is a command ship. If it falls, the hunters lose control. Ryan exhaled, his grin thin and sharp. Then I guess we have a target. The Earth fleet fought fiercely, but the flagship tore through them. Beams ripped cruisers apart. Missiles exploded in swarms of fire. Ryan's comm filled with cries, desperate voices shouting, Defense line breaking, we need cover. Ryan clenched his teeth, his hands gripping the controls. We can't let them break Earth's wall, he said. Leora placed her hand on his arm, her face pale but determined. Then we strike at the heart, she whispered. Ryan's ship was small, damaged, and fragile. But it was fast. He darted through the battlefield, weaving between wrecks and fire. The flagship's defenses focused on larger threats, ignoring the tiny insect buzzing toward it. Ryan smirked. Sometimes being small is an advantage, he muttered. They reached, the flagship's shadow, its hull blocking the stars. Ryan guided the ship to a docking point. Hold tight, Princess, we're going in, he said. Leora's blush flickered even in the chaos, but she nodded firmly. Do not call me that in the middle of war, she hissed. Ryan only grinned wider. Sorry, habit. They slipped through a maintenance port, the ship scraping metal as it forced inside. Ryan grabbed a rifle from the storage rack. His hands shook, not from fear, but from the weight of what was coming. I'm not a soldier, he muttered, but I'll fight like one. Leora's glow brightened, her voice steady. You fight like something more human, you fight like hope. Inside the flagship, the halls were dark and cold. Hunters swarmed toward them, armored and armed. Leora struck first, her energy flaring, light blasting enemies back. Ryan covered her, firing wild but stubborn shots. Together they carved a path through the metal beast. Every corner felt like a trap, every step closer to death. Finally, they reached the command chamber. At the center stood the alien commander, tall, armored, his presence heavy like a storm. His eyes glowed with cruel fire as he stared at Leora. So the princess returns, he hissed, Leora's face flushed with both fear and fury. You will not cage me again. She spat. The commander laughed. And you brought a human toy. To fight me? He mocked. Ryan stepped forward, raising his rifle. Not a toy, he said coldly. A problem. The duel erupted. Leora's light clashed against the commander's blade, sparks and shadows filling the chamber. Ryan fired at weak points, forcing the giant to defend from two sides. The commander roared, swinging with deadly power. Leora staggered, her glow dimming. Ryan's heart pounded, rage boiling. He lunged forward, slamming the rifle stock into the commander's face. The alien snarled, shocked by the human's reckless charge. Ryan gritted his teeth, shouting, "You don't get to win here." The fight raged, Ryan taking blows that sent pain screaming through his body. But he refused to fall. Every time the commander struck, Ryan stood again, bleeding but unbroken. Leora's glow surged brighter as she drew strength from his defiance. Together, they forced the commander back step by step. At last, Ryan jammed a detonator onto the core panel. The commander lunged to stop him, but Leora's energy blast knocked the alien down. Ryan slammed the trigger, the device flashing red. "Time's up," he growled. They ran, alarms screaming through the flagship. Explosions shook the corridors as fire spread. Their small ship detached, blasting away from the monster. Behind them, the flagship erupted in a storm of fire and light. The armada faltered, leaderless, their formation breaking. The Earth fleet surged forward, striking hard. The tide of battle turned. In the cockpit, Ryan slumped into his seat, battered and bloody but alive. Leora sat beside him, her glow faint but her blush bright. "You are insane," she whispered, "but you gave my people hope again." Ryan chuckled weakly. "Guess humans are good at last stands," he said. Outside, the enemy armada burned, Earth still standing, strong, but both of them knew the war was not truly over. This was only the first of many storms to come. The wreckage of the battle drifted across the stars. Broken enemy ships floated like shattered bones, their fires fading into silence. Earth's fleet stood scarred but alive, human vessels circling their home with stubborn pride. Ryan's small ship limped among them, hull cracked, engines sparking but still flying. Inside the cockpit, Ryan slumped in his seat, blood drying on his face. His breaths were shallow, but his grin was wide. Leora sat beside him, her glow faint but steady. Her eyes softened as she looked at him, cheeks warming. "You nearly died," she whispered, her voice trembling. Ryan chuckled weakly. "Nearly doesn't count," he said. "You should know by now, Princess, humans are too stubborn to die easy." Her face flushed red, but she did not argue. Medical ships swarmed in, voices filling the comms with relief. Ryan was hailed as reckless, insane and brilliant all at once. Soldiers cheered his name, though he only shook his head. "I'm no hero," he muttered. "Just an engineer who got very unlucky." But Leora's glowing eyes disagreed. "To my people, you are proof that humans are more than we believed," she said softly. "You fight not because you must, but because you choose to." Dazing passed as Earth repaired its wounds. Ryan's ship was patched and Leora began to walk freely among the humans. Everywhere she went, soldiers and civilians stared in awe. She was alien, yes, but also something more. Living proof that humanity had stepped into a larger galaxy. Ryan teased her often. "Careful, Princess, they might ask you for selfies," he joked. She blinked, confused. What?" she asked. Ryan laughed until his sides hurt. "Don't worry, you'll learn," he said. But behind the laughter, shadows grew. In secret meetings, human leaders studied the alien data Ryan unlocked. The hidden bases of the Vayari glowed on, maps waiting to be rediscovered. New technology promised power, but also painted a bigger target on Earth. Ryan knew it, and Leora knew it too. The war was not over. It had only begun. One evening, Ryan stood with her on a balcony overlooking Earth's blue horizon. The stars shone bright, ships moving like fireflies across the void. Leora's voice was quiet, filled with both fear and hope. "My enemies will come again," she whispered. "But now they will see a world that fights together." Ryan nodded, his grin soft but steady. Yeah, and when they come, they'll learn the same thing you did, he said. That humans might be fragile, but we bite hard. She turned to him, her blush bright. You risked everything, even for me, she whispered. Ryan scratched his neck, embarrassed. Well, maybe I like you a little more than I should, he admitted. Her cheeks glowed crimson, but her eyes sparkled. Stupid human, she murmured, but her voice was soft, almost fond. Silence hung between them, warm and fragile. Then the skies above cracked with a sudden signal. The long-range sensors screamed, detecting movement beyond the stars. A massive fleet, bigger than the hunters, bigger than anything Earth had ever faced. Ryan's grin faded, his eyes narrowing. So, he muttered. The big boss finally noticed. Leora's glow brightened with both dread and resolve. It is the Empire, she whispered, her fists tightening. They will not stop until I am taken and your world is ashes. Ryan exhaled slowly, then smirked. Then we'll just have to give them one hell of a welcome party, the Earth. Fleet mobilized once more, soldiers shouting, engines roaring. But this time, humanity was not alone. They had a Veari princess who blushed too easily, and a stubborn engineer who refused to quit. Together, they were a spark in the dark, a fire that would not be put out. Ryan gripped the railing, staring into the endless night. This is only the beginning, he whispered. Leora stood beside him, glowing softly, her blush hidden in the starlight. And together, they waited for the next storm.